Hey guys, welcome back to our channel.
As you can see, this is something really different.
We look different, don't we?
But it was a suggestion from one of you guys, and we thought that we would
cater to you.
Cater to you lot.
So today's topic is being a young Christian in CCC, which is Celestial Church of Christ.
White garment.
Yeah.
As some of you guys say.
So where should we start from?
How does it feel to be white garment? Is it?
Okay.
Should we talk about that, or should we just...
Yeah, let's start from there. How does it feel to be white garment? Bear with me guys, I'm extremely hot.
We get a lot of, you know... Yeah, she's really hot. We get a lot of stigma, innit?
Expand on it. Let them understand.
People, yeah, have this, you know, this mindset of... Well, some people, I'm not saying everyone, but most people have this mindset that white garment people are a bit dodgy.
I think what you're trying to say is the fact that they think white garment is fetish.
Yeah.
Because we're more spiritual, so they see the things that we do as fetish.
Yeah.
And that affects us because it makes it look like we go to a negative church when we're just worshipping in a church which is almost similar to yours.
The same God that you lot serve.
But even like we do so many things that are similar to the Catholics.
Yeah.
We do so many things that are similar to like different denominations. But because of our spirituality, we're looked down upon and we're said to be fetish.
As a bit, yeah.
Yeah. But being a Celestian in general, I personally, I'm not ashamed of it.
It's a blessing.
It's actually a blessing. Until you actually partake in celestial doctrine and partake in things within the church, you would not understand it.
There's a lot of stuff that have happened, especially the spiritual side. There's a lot of stuff that I
think that's why I'm even drawn to it even more. That spiritual side brings you closer to God. Like.
There's so much that, you know, obviously God does all things, but there's so much stuff that we have overcome because of that spiritual side. Like,
I know some people watch this video and condemn and whatever, but we're not putting ourselves out there like the perfect Christians. We do want to share our experience in Celestial Church of Christ with you. And I want you to understand that we do believe in a God. Like, it's not only these worldly things that we're trying to put out there for you lot. So yeah, we've answered how it feels to be Celestial.
Do you know one thing that people like to say?
What?
Why do you guys wear all white? Or why don't you guys wear shoes?
That's one popular question. But we can answer that question for you because basically, sorry, just a moment. Celestial Church of Christ, we look at it as a representation of heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Like you say, our church is the last ship, like is our church.
That's what we call it, the last ship.
Yeah, so the Church of Salvation, seen as is a representation of heaven on earth, we do stuff like in accordance to how heaven is portrayed in the Bible. So for example, Revelations 4:4, it speaks about elders sitting around the throne, which is like before Christ, and they're all dressed in white. We wear white because we follow, like, we're translating Revelations 4:4 on earth.
And we think it's colour white signifies
peace,
it's all about
holy,
and stuff like that. The reason why we don't wear shoes as well, there's so much stuff that we can link back to the Bible, where Moses was...
That's what I'm saying, everything we do in Celestial is not like out of the blue.
He was on holy ground, and God said, take off your shoes because you're on holy ground. We see stuff like, wherever we are, we see it as holy ground, especially when we're in our holy...
The garment itself is holy, so we can't put something we've been treading on like outside, we can't bring that into the church because that is a bit disrespectful. Like, the church is a temple.
Something as well.
Yeah, same way like our bodies are a temple, so we wouldn't corrupt ourselves with negative things, and then you know, it doesn't make sense, it's a contradiction. So yeah, people asked us how it feels to be a young Christian in general.
We've grown up Christian.
I think for me, I love it. It's not a struggle for me. I know many people say I struggled before I found God and before I came to Christ. Like, people may think just because we grew up into it, we actually haven't found ourselves. But I didn't even grow up in Celestial. I grew up in Pentecostal, and my mum moved to Celestial.
Yeah,
I grew up as a Christian,
and we actually, as we grew up, we kind of grew into it. Sort
of. I found myself within that ministry. Like, me and church, I sing. We're both in the choir. We sing. We do a lot of things that. There's different ministries within the church, and once you find yourself within that ministry, like where you fit in, you'll begin to understand Christianity, and you're not only going to church based on your parents forcing you to go to church and whatever. But personally, like, did you struggle when you're like, I know apart from temptation, all that worldly stuff, have you actually struggled with that?
Stuff, being a Christian, believing in God and believing in His, you know, His salvation and whatever, I've never actually I've never actually struggled with
I don't think I've ever struggled with it.
Because it's been rooted inside.
I've always believed that what you feed your child from young is what they will take and grow up.
Yeah.
Some children will rebel and they will say, okay, this is not my path, like this is not my way of life. But I mean, my parents, like I was growing up in a Christian household, like I grew up in a Christian household. I'm still living in a Christian household, and I'm not only doing it to please my parents and whatever. I found myself within Christianity.
Now it's got to the point where I'm not doing it like
we're old enough to make our own decisions as well, so it's not forced.
So
it's more like
it's never really been a struggle.
Never ever been a struggle. Someone asked you on your Snapchat that time when you asked them about the temptations and things like that. Everyone is tempted.
Everybody.
Jesus was tempted by the enemy, like by the devil. So like, temptation is
especially being young.
It's a part of life.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really say I struggle with temptation, but I mean, it's gotten to a stage where I know how to fight temptation. There's certain things that I wouldn't do due to the fact that I know it is wrong. Like whether, despite how tempting it could be and whatever. To be honest, for you to be able to fight temptation, I feel like you need to feed yourself within Christianity itself. Don't just be going to church because your mum goes to church. Don't go to church because your friends are going to church and they're telling you to come. Yeah. Go to church for yourself. Go to church to understand and meet yourself, because that's mainly where you find yourself. And once you know yourself and you know things that help you grow, temptation wouldn't be a problem.
You're fine.
You're actually fine. You're really fine. Let's go back into the fetish side. People mainly say that we're fetish because, as we said earlier, we dwell around spiritual stuff. So like for all of this going in spirit, it happens in every other church, but the way it happens in white garment, people condemn it and say
it's because it's more full on. That's
what I'm saying. But I mean, when the Holy Spirit is using, who are you to control?
Even I think
you can't control
I think I was having a conversation with someone one day, and they were saying that there's spiritual stuff, and you know how we see stuff and stuff like that. They were saying stuff like that happening in our church. I think it was there when I was having a conversation with the person. Stuff like that happen in other places, but it doesn't happen so deep. So because it happens, so do you remember the conversation?
Yeah, they begin to question it.
Because it happens so deep, they're questioning that. How do you know? How are you able to tell me so much stuff about my life, sort of thing?
So for example, in our church, the Holy Spirit does not just use someone and let them go like that. Like the Holy Spirit will use you and then lead you to someone to prophesy to. Yeah. So when you're prophesying to them, you can give them dates. You can give them deep years. You can tell them what was happening to them 10 years ago.
Tell them what happened
and they'll look at you. They'll look at you like, huh?
How do you know?
You're obviously using. That's where we get it fed. Oh, you're obviously using judge to be able to tell me that. Yeah. And it's not. I think once you experience it, come to Select for 1 week or something. Experience it for yourself, like, and you will see that you'll be able to testify to God's work.
And we're not saying that, you know, in every denomination there's fetish. Do you know what I mean? We're not gonna lie and say the whole of Celestial is perfect and we always follow the way.
But that's where the stereotype has come from. Because there have been Celestial churches that have. Yeah. But that's them. Like
the majority.
We wouldn't put ourselves in a situation where we're going to worship someone that's worshiping a false god.
It's nothing. Nothing to do with
you have to experience it yourself.
You need to just experience it yourself and you actually see it like for yourself.
So another question is, what are one of your favourite parts of Celestial? Like for me, I know, like for me it's definitely the singing and music.
Spiritual and the praise. The way we praise God is different.
That's what leads into that spiritual realm. Yeah. So someone can be singing. You see how CNS singing tongues and all that. We don't do that in Celeb, but I mean, there's certain songs we sing, spiritual songs that we sing.
It's deep.
Like, and it is deep. You'll just be in spirit and you just be like. There are so many different songs. I feel like they're singing one off.
Yeah, what one should we sing, man?
That one is a good one.
Let's sing that one.
Yeah, there's a lot like.
Let's sing that one.
Which one do you say? Alright, you start.
Ojo agbára náà tí ó sọdún, tá sọjọ́ mímọ́ kalẹ̀. Ìràwọ̀ méje ló yọ ní òkè ọ̀run, àwẹ̀yẹ òkè lúlì. Àwẹ̀yẹ òkè lúlì. Lúlì oore ọ̀fẹ́. Ìràwọ̀ méje ló yọ ní òkè ọ̀run, àwẹ̀yẹ òkè lúlì. Ẹ ṣé.
me, the music, you may not understand that, but it just talks about the power of celestial child of Christ.
How celestial
and that will just take you to another level.
Man.
It's actually so
beautiful.
I love it.
Beautiful church.
So yeah, overall, it's not hard being a young Christian. I think it's harder for those who've just found themselves in the Christian.
When you grew up in it,
Christian environment, when you've been brought up in it, when you've grown up in it, when that's been your only food.
Even if it gets to a point in your life where you actually go astray, you've got that root. You remember that root, like.
Ọmọ rántí o, ọmọ má gbàgbé, ọmọ ẹni tí ìwọ ń ṣe o. Oh, that's it. You just remember your roots. Trust me.
Trust me, guys. Oh my gosh. Like,
yeah, man.
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
Thanks for watching.
Don't forget
to like, comment, and subscribe.
And leave your feedback below as well.
Trust me, you Celestians get involved as well. Yeah, I know there's many of you out there that do not own up to being a Celestian. Come on, free up yourself. Trust me. Look at us. We look fine as well. Fine, my like.
Fine, my like.
Yes, fine, my like. Fine, my like. But yeah, guys. Bye.